Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Morgan Dollar Mondays with Massabesic Gold and Silver. I'm Dean with Massabesic Gold and Silver, and today we are going to be considering the 1902 Philadelphia Morgan Dollar. This is really a beautiful example of this year, but before we get into all that, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications so you get up-to-date content from us, and please remember to share our videos with other folks that you think would enjoy them. So yes, here it is, the 1902 Philadelphia Morgan Dollar. The mintage on these were 7,994,000, and of course the designer and engraver was George T. Morgan himself. These actually were known way back when as the Bland dollar, B-L-A-N-D, and that was after Richard Parks Bland, who was an American congressman. He was a Democrat from the great state of Missouri, and he was later nicknamed Silver Dick as he was the co-author of the Bland-Allison Act, which allowed the country to purchase silver in order to make these really wonderful silver dollars that we have grown to love today. This 1902 Philadelphia is a gem state coin. The 1902 Philadelphia is kind of one of those coins that doesn't fall into that common category, the common date category, but they're certainly not uncommon. You can find them readily available. Bowers talks about in gem state plus, so MS65 and higher, there's estimated somewhere between 5,000 to 10,000 examples of those that have been graded over the years by various grading companies. This strike is, I would consider, rather strong. Bowers talks about the strikes on these being from indifferent to downright poor. But I think looking by the ear here, it's fairly a strong strike. On the reverse, we're gonna talk about that because the reverse is completely different on this coin, but we'll get there. The luster can be subdued and satiny according to Bowers. I would say that this is a more satiny luster. It definitely doesn't have that frostiness of earlier years. And Bowers argued that was probably due to as much as the dye preparation or the process of getting these dyes prepped for use, and also as to the strike on these coins. But looking at this, you can see, some really beautiful toning. I know toning is not for everybody, but for me, I really enjoy these kind of cobalt blues here, almost iridescent in some spots. And again, these fields are relatively open. Like looking here behind the back of Liberty's head here, that field, there doesn't seem to be any contact marks. A little one right there below the hair, but again, nothing too distracting. As we just look, there's no real hits on the devices or on the legends. We got some little contact marks here on her neck, but again, nothing too distracting. Her cheek is relatively clean. It's just got a really great look overall. So PCGS graded this coin, and they believe it's a MS65. I tend to agree with them. And it really is a beautiful example of a 1902 Philadelphia, and we'll get into more reasons why. Let's take a closer look at the reverse. So why is this an important year? Well, as Bowers wrote back in 1993 in his book Silver Dollars and Trade Dollars of the United States in the Complete Encyclopedia, he writes that the 1902 Philadelphia Mint dollar was the first issue employing the C4 reverse on all dies. So that C4 is the hub, and there's some subtle differences. We're going to take a look here first at the chest feathers here. So some people might argue that those are weak, but as Bowers talks about, this new hub has less definition to the eagle's breast feathers, introducing another aspect into grading techniques, as now a coin can be full struck but lack full feathers. And because of that, a lot of times people will think that this is a weakly struck coin when it's not. So with the 1902 and even after, you really want to make sure that you consider those chest feathers. Now, some other options or some other differences. This is the C3 hub, and you'll notice that the gap between the neck and the feather is very close, and it also has two olive berries here. With the C4, which was actually started in 1900, the C4 hub was started in 1900, but with the 1902 it was exclusively used. You see that there's a wide neck wing gap, and there's only one berry there on the C4. Now, there are lots of VAMs for the 1902, and those VAMs are because they actually used a C4 and they impressed that over the C3. So what you'll do, or what you'll see, is some attributes of both hubs. And those are your VAMs for the 1902 Philadelphia. But like I said before, Bowers noted that the 1902 was the first year that they exclusively used the C4 hub. Also, what he notes in his book is that for the longest time, people were unaware of this fact of the C3 hubs and the C4 hubs. Bowers wrote, of course, these over hubs exist for other earlier dates as well, and for certain later issues through 1904. Credit goes to Leroy C. Van Allen and A. George Mallis for coordinating and distilling the research efforts of many enthusiasts in the fields in order to figure out that these over hubs existed for these years. That is the C4 hub over the old C3 hub. So yeah, these are just really fantastic. I'm really glad that I purchased this, and just looking at this is it's just a nice gemstay coin. And that it cost a little bit more, like I said about before, that this is not a common date, but it's just certainly not a uncommon date. So there are some premiums on these. So if I remember correctly, I paid right around $400 for this MS65. Again, I think it's a beautiful example. I don't know if it would CAC if I sent it off to CAC. I'm not sure if it would get the CAC. I don't really know what exactly they look for on these, but I am surprised with how many contact marks there are. Yes, they are small, but I am surprised by how many are on her cheek, just below her eye, near her nose, and a little bit by the E and E pluribus unum. However, I do find the luster to be superior compared to other 1902 Philadelphia Morgans that I have seen. That's one of the reasons why I was attracted to this MS65 Morgan dollar, because of the luster, also because of the toning, as you know. But truly, it's a beautiful coin. If you don't have a nice example of a 1902 Philadelphia, I completely agree with Bowers. Really cherry pick it, find the one that you really like, and go from there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you keep coming back to our Morgan Dollar Mondays with Massabesic Gold and Silver. And as always, until we meet again, enjoy.